Hi there. It's hard to believe it's been 5 years since making the video for Christmas plum pudding, and the holidays are here once again, so it's certainly time for a follow-up. This time, we'll be going all the way and making a traditional British-style plum pudding soaked with rum and brandy and flamed, and then glazed with buttercream hard sauce. So, let's get started and have some holiday cheer.
Since this pudding won't be using that horrid fruit cake mix sold at Walmart, we'll be starting out by preparing our candied fruit peel in advance. All we do is cut off the peel from an orange and a lemon and scrape away as much of the white pith as possible. Then we mix together a simple syrup of sugar and water and simmer the fruit peel in the syrup for about 2 hours. From there, transfer it to a metal bowl and let the fruit peel macerate in the syrup for a long time. Here, I let this sit in the refrigerator for 5 days before taking it out. Of course, there's a reason why folks would prepare their Christmas pudding weeks or even months in advance, and that's because the fruit needs to be soaked in liquor for a long time. Meanwhile, we prepare our selection of dried fruits and chop them up into good-sized pieces. It's only a matter of cutting up the dried fruits and covering them in liquor so they can soak in the alcohol. I kept the candied fruit peel separate from the dried fruit so the peel could be rolled in extra sugar before adding the liquor. We also cut up some maraschino cherries to add to the fruit peel. In fact, this batch used up all of my rum and brandy, but it was worth the effort and the expense. After soaking our fruits and fruit peels for a long time, we reserve the liquor so we can use it in the pudding. And we just cut up the fruit peel and mix everything together. Now we can finally begin preparing the pudding. We only have a couple more ingredients to chop up, namely suet and some crystallized ginger. Then all we do now is start mixing our ingredients together in a huge bowl. This is the difference between a pudding and a cake. A cake is made with flour and it rises in the oven, while a pudding uses a lot of breadcrumbs and it doesn't really rise very much. This is really just a fancy bread pudding with a lot of fruit and spices mixed in. And of course, this will also help to absorb all the liquor that will be added over time. We mix in the wet ingredients, including a cup of the reserved liquor, and add spices to give the batter its special taste. No two pudding recipes are ever alike, and you can suit the spices to your taste. If you enjoy allspice and cardamom, go ahead and add them, or leave them out if you prefer. Now, it's time to add the soaked fruit to the pudding, and stir it all in. Don't forget to add a cup of chopped nuts so you can say your family is as nutty as a fruitcake. Here is where the whole family takes turns stirring the pudding and making a wish. We also shouldn't forget a special touch of adding a silver coin to the pudding. This will bring good luck to the person who finds it. Steaming the pudding is very easy. It only takes a lot of time and patience. We add enough water to come about halfway up the side of the pudding basin and bring it to a boil. While bringing the water to a boil, we grease a nonstick pan with the shortening and add the pudding. It's okay to pack the pudding basin all the way to the top because this heavy pudding isn't going to rise very much. Also, steaming it will prevent the alcohol from evaporating the way it would if this was baked in the oven, so this is definitely going to be a pudding for adults only. Wrap the pudding tightly with foil, then we place it into the boiling water. and we wait.
And away we go.
Be sure to refill the water about every hour or so. After 4 hours of steaming, the pudding is cooked and ready for the next step. That would be aging the pudding with liquor to improve its flavor over time. We do this by covering the pudding with cheesecloth and pouring the liquor over the top to let it gradually soak into the pudding. Here is where some folks store their pudding for months at a time and give feedings of brandy or rum every few days. It's usually said the longer the pudding ages, the better it gets. And now at last, it's time to serve the pudding. After being in storage for weeks or even months, we steam the pudding once again for 2 hours to freshen it up. From here, we turn it over onto a fireproof surface, which is why this pudding is being turned over into a cast iron pan. And, ready for the flame and the hard sauce, here is our plum pudding. From here, it's simply a matter of dousing the pudding with brandy in order to successfully light it on fire. The brandy has to be heated first so the flame will stay lit. And when the audience is ready, here we go. And the final step is to prepare a buttercream hard sauce to serve on top of the pudding. It took a long time for me to figure out how to get the sauce to become more smooth and not full of lumps. This is why we melt butter and cream cheese to give it a more smooth consistency. Then we mix in a 1/4 cup of brandy and a lot of powdered sugar. And this is why we use a sifting screen rather than pouring the sugar in. We whisk in the powdered sugar until it has a good consistency that coats the serving ladle. I'll admit, my sauce still looked spotty because of the cream cheese, but it still poured nicely. And an important difference between the pudding and a cake, this plum pudding is best when served nice and hot. I hope your guests appreciate your efforts because this is no fruitcake. And so, enjoy.
And I would just like to wish all of my friends watching this the very happiest of holidays, Ia Saturnalia, and of course, Merry Christmas. Thank you for watching.